At halftime, coming up, it's the Knicks and the Seattle Supersonics, the marquee matchup of the night in the NBA. See you at the half.
In Seattle, the Space Needle stands like a huge #1, which just so happens to be the status of the Sonics. George Karl has his team at the top of the league for 5 rock and roll reasons. The Sonics present a huge challenge for the Knicks. Next on MSG from the Pacific Northwest. We welcome you live to the Pacific Northwest, where tonight the Knicks take on the Seattle Supersonics at the Coliseum, which is sold out for the 21st time this season. A lot to look forward to tonight. Just look at the records. Seattle is on top in the NBA, beating opponents by an average of 10 points a game. Percentage points backed with 3 less wins. We find the Knicks at 28-11. Hi, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig, filling in for Marv Albert, along with John Andres. And John, on Thursday night in Anaheim, the New York Knicks used an awful lot of emotion to beat the Clippers of L.A., and they did it by going to the man that they go to, predictably, Patrick Ewing.
The wise guy. Predictably is a favorite word these days. Even the players are enjoying it now. So much has been said. But it didn't mean anything to the Clippers, because down the stretch, Patrick Ewing came through. And it was in the 4th quarter, when the Knicks needed it the most, that Patrick got going. A Charles Smith drive led to a beautiful tip-in by Ewing off the backboard. Patrick stayed alive even after he missed shots. He had a shot rejected, stayed in the play, kept competing, and tipped that baby home. And then, Al, in the closing seconds of the game, the Knicks needed a big shot. Derek Harper found Patrick, who avoided the defense. And with 0.9 seconds on the clock, he hit the game winner. Oh, was he happy, not to mention his teammates' response to Patrick as well. A very big, important win for the Knicks, and it came in the closing seconds. Ewing with another gigantic game, 32 points, 13 out of 23 from the field, 16 rebounds, and add 5 blocks as well. Not much more he could have done.
An energizing beginning to this 3-game Western swing. Knicks in Portland tomorrow night, but tonight in Seattle, they take on a team that can beat you just by defense or with offense. They have 6 players scoring in double figures. If, however, you go to George Karl and ask him who the MVP of the team is, he mentions Gary Payton, now in his 4th year.
Well, he was the #2 draft choice in the NBA 5 years ago, and Payton, known as a defensive player, has improved all aspects of his game. And what a tenacious defender he is. In fact, he's one of the league leaders in the steals department. Payton will go anywhere for a steal. And, of course, with his improved jump shooting, Al, he's driving to the basket much more with great effectiveness. He's making people play him tough. And he's got the speed to blow around his opposing defenders. Payton will look to pass, but he'll also drive that ball to the hoop. So the Knicks have to be wary of him tonight at the offensive end of the court. The interesting part about Gary Payton is each year he's getting better and better in the scoring department. His numbers are quite significant now as one of the team's leaders in the scoring department. And considering he came into the league as a defender, that's some improvement. I think he may be an NBA All-Star this year.
Well, right now, Seattle's Coliseum is the toughest play for the NBA to try and win against the Sonics. They're 18-2 here. The Knicks will play when we come back against the toughest home team in the NBA. Welcome back to the Pacific Northwest. The 31-8 Seattle Supersonics hosting the New York Knickerbockers at 28-11. Another sellout crowd settling in their seats. It's time for the introduction of the Hertz lineups.
The starting lineup tonight for the Knicks. Starting at guard, #3, John Starks. Starting at guard, #50, Greg Anthony. Starting at center, #33, Patrick Ewing. Starting at forward, number 54, Charles Smith. And starting at forward, number 34, Charles Oakley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet for your Seattle Supersonics, with head coach George Karl, assistant coaches Bob Kloppenberg, Tim Gergerich, and Terry Stotts, trainer Frank Furtado. And the starting lineup tonight for the Sonics. Starting at guard, number 20, Gary Payton. Starting at guard, number 13, Kendall Gill. Starting at center, number 14, Sam Perkins. Starting at forward, number 11, Deck Left Shrimp. And starting at forward, number 40, Sean Kemp.
As you can see, it's been a very human stretch of the last 10 games for the Sonics. They actually had a 3-game losing streak, snapped 2 days ago with a victory over the visiting New Jersey Nets. 10 points was the difference. Pat Riley's Knicks know, with their confidence built up after the wins over Phoenix and Los Angeles, that this is going to be a very difficult place to win tonight. When you're talking about going up against number 1 in the league, you want to know how the team puts it in perspective.
Well, it's obviously we're playing against the best record and the best team in the NBA right now. We're starting on a road trip that's going to keep us out here for about 6 weeks. There's going to be a lot of other big games, and we know who we're playing. We know what we have to do tonight. So, I agree to some extent that our guys are going to be excited, but I think they're going to keep this in perspective.
Pat Riley sends out Charles Smith once again, who'll start up front with Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, John Starks, and Greg Anthony. One of the advantages for the Knicks is that in addition to Sean Kemp being up front, Sam Perkins is too. He'll play the center position and give away 3 inches to Patrick Ewing.
One consolation mentally for the Knicks, Al. The Los Angeles Clippers gave the Sonics their second home loss this year earlier this week. They lost only to Phoenix 2 days before Christmas. They don't usually lose here. Now the Knicks must focus on boxing out tonight. Vic Pavetta, Ed Rush, and Louis Grillo are the officials. They must box out. This team will explode on them otherwise. You don't want to get down in a fast break game going against you in this arena.
Our first look at the Sonics defense, which steals more than 13 a game. 13.4 steals a game is their average. Smith to Oakley, getting away from Kemp and drawing the foul. There's going to be a lot of bruising between Sean Kemp and Charles Oakley tonight.
Number 14, Sam Perkins.
Kemp will be a starter for the Western Conference in the All-Star game on February 13th. Charles Oakley could easily be added to the team in the next couple of days on the East.
Al, you're talking about how tough this team is in the steals department. That's another area the Knicks must be wary of. The NBA record for steals in 1977-78, the Phoenix Suns. Well, the Seattle Supersonics are on the path to breaking that record, which means the Knicks have to be so careful in their passing and handling of the ball tonight.
Nate McMillan has almost twice as many steals as the highest Knick. That's John Starks. He has 115, and he doesn't even start. Gary Payton backing in on Greg Anthony. Payton about 5 inches taller than Greg. Sam Perkins out high. Shrimp uses the screen. A big block by Charles Oakley, but a foul is called.
Good matchup physically now with Charles Smith on Schrempf, both at 6'10".
First team foul in the quarter against New York.
Schrempf, such a mobile player. Even in college, he played outside handling the ball. One of those players who was exposed to ball handling young in his career. Most guys 6'10" are back to the basket players in high school and college. Not this guy. He's a special talent.
Well, Schrempf, of course, looks on the Knicks end of the floor and sees a lot of familiar faces from his Indiana Pacer playoff matchup.
Here's the pressure. This is the way the Sonics play at three-quarter court pressure. All of a sudden, the Knicks have Charles Smith bringing the ball up, and he did a good job.
It was Kemp on Smith. Payton slips. Anthony breaks away. Ewing. Patrick Ewing from way out. Payton pushes it up.
Sonics spread the court very well. That's what they're doing. Isolating now. Kendall Gill in a one-on-one.
Big rebound by Ewing on the Kendall Gill miss. He fires for Starks. Smith in traffic. Oakley follows and saves. Too much on the save.
Well, Charles Smith had the position inside. He got his way in there, but the converging defense denied him well.
Charles Smith in his 5th game back. He's been so impressive. Perkins. Oakley just let him slide right by. You don't see Oakley give that much room that often.
Perkins the center, and it shows you how tough and versatile he is. He started way out, and he made it work with that wide open middle.
Nobody stepped into the middle to prevent Perkins from going all the way. Starks with trouble. Finds it for Ewing. 7 on the 24-second clock. Ewing with a rainbow. It's an air ball.
Patrick has a size advantage over Perkins. He'll do well to stay down low against Perkins.
Steal by Anthony, and he lost it out of bounds. Some of the bounces are not going the Knicks' way here in the first few minutes. But the effort seems to be there.
That left Schrempf handling that ball, and Anthony attacked him effectively.
Back live, Payton guarded by Anthony. Kemp picked up by Oakley. Sees Perkins on the perimeter. He fakes Smith and Ewing. And that leaves Schrempf open. Schrempf back home where he went to college at Washington. He's developed into a quick favorite here with Seattle.
Greg Anthony looking down low.
Starks pops out from the low screen and hits. Knicks 6, Sonics 5.
John Starks is the second man they fear the most against the Knicks. Of course, it's Ewing, number 1. John got the room he needed.
Kemp on a switch now is guarded by Ewing. Payton back to the baseline of Kemp.
Patrick has to think about denying the pass into Kemp. Overplay him a bit so he doesn't get those short jumpers.
The middle is wide open to give Ewing some room to move. Oakley takes the jump.
Oh, beautifully done off the dribble.
It's a good sign early to have someone like Oakley hit a jumper. They want to keep the Sonics defense as legitimate as they can.
Here's the Sonics team with the best record in the NBA, Al. They don't have a scorer on their team in the NBA's top 20. Talk about balance.
Perkins. He's one of 6 double-figure scorers on the average on this team. The 5 starters and then Ricky Pierce.
He's made 41 now, 3-point shots this year. By far the most on the Sonics. He's a threat from long range.
Sonics pressuring everything. Starks tries to lose Kendall Gill. Sonics up by 2. Starks with an alley-oop.
That's just a great look by Starks. Defense with their hands down. Boy, George Karl won't be happy about that.
Payton all the way. Tipped by Kemp, saved by Oakley. Starks, the intended receiver, it's tipped out of bounds. Knicks will keep it.
Greg Anthony was the target for that pass if it was a perfectly done fast break, but Charles Oakley saw Starks down further
John, we talked about balance. It doesn't get much better than this for a coach.
And wait till Ricky Pierce gets in the lineup.
Charles Smith is fouled on the drive.
The foul is on number 40, Sean Kemp. His first.
Smith wanted it to be a shooting foul. It will be a non-shooting foul, and the Knicks will inbound. 7:46 to go in a fast-paced first quarter. 10-10. Smith for three. He's hit three now in the last week after having only one prior in his career.
Well, he did it dramatically, too, at the end of the third quarter the other night. He's been working on it. He did it comfortably.
Big overplay by Smith. He hit only the second of his NBA career last Friday in Orlando, and he's just continued to do it since returning. Almost 16 points a game, and the shooting percentage is very impressive. Perkins launched a rock. Starts with Oakley. And he's called for traveling by Dick Pavetta.
Well, unfortunately for John, that ball slipped out of his hands.
George Karl calls timeout. Crowd very into it. 7:13 to go. Knicks lead it 13-10. Of course, that is unless both teams make it into June with a final meeting. But they're going to tear this place down at the end of the season and rebuild almost an entirely new arena. The Sonics will then play at the Tacoma Dome, King Dome, or even in Vancouver next season. That remains to be determined. Starks through traffic, finds Anthony. Key shot. Oakley and Anthony both hit their first shots, and that's a three-pointer for Greg Anthony. The Knicks have made 5 straight hoops.
Great sign for the Knicks with that balance and their good field goal percentage early in this one.
John Kemp on that. He's got 4.
Greg Anthony against one of the league's better defenders, and Gary Payton is playing off him despite hitting that shot. Oh,
what an assist.
Starks to Ewing. Nice handle by John Starks.
It's a 10-2 run by New York, and the second dunk of the first quarter by Ewing. 6:10 to go, and the Knicks lead it 18-12. Tremp. Perkins loses Ewing. That's a beautiful shot. Floating through the air, dropping it in. Sam Perkins, the ex-Maverick, the ex-Laker. Smith's turnaround, well short. Kemp charges into Greg Anthony, who is called for the foul and angry about it.
Boy, that had the look of a charge by Kemp, but Dick Pavetta saw it another way.
Foul, the quarter against the Knicks.
Moments ago, Greg Anthony handling that ball to John Starks, who sees Ewing wide open as the Sonics were asleep. Was the last play now for the Sonics. Sean Kemp clobbering Greg Anthony, who in the opinion of the officials did not have position.
Kemp misses the first. Michael Cage checks into the game. He replaces Sam Perkins. And they just exchange height. 6'9", 6'9". Cage with a little bit more bulk. The one-time leading rebounder in the NBA. Sam Perkins gets a breather.
Cage playing 20 minutes a game, so he can be fresh all the minutes he's out there on the average.
Knicks push up the tempo a little bit to break the Sonics' pressure. Smith, Oakley cuts through. 8 on the 24. 5. Breaking free is Oakley, and that's a beautiful assist from Patrick Ewing.
With patience, the Knicks have broken the Sonics defense down now a lot.
Payton, snap bounce pass for Kemp. Tremp for 3. Only player in the NBA ranked in the top 25 in points, rebounds, and assists. Detlef Schrempf. Payton for Kemp. Ewing prevented Kendall's shot. Kendall got it back. Kendall Gill, that is. And a whistle against the Knicks.
That was our number 3, John Starks.
John Starks is called for the foul. Pat Riley goes to his bench. Derek Harper replaces Greg Anthony. Anthony Mason replaces Charles Smith. Mason returning to action after missing a game with bruised ribs Thursday night in LA.
Pat Riley's pattern of using Derek Harper has usually seen Harper coming in as the quarter winds down. This is a little early for his appearance for Greg Anthony.
Payton now guarded by Harper. Cage hands off for Payton. Ewing way up for the rebound.
Knicks doing a big job on their defensive boards.
Mason breaking free, and the Knicks passing has been superb. That is the 8th assist for the Knicks. They've made 8 baskets. That means that they have had a good pass leading to every single basket they've scored so far. And they're rebounding as well, too. 8-6 is their edge. Shrem for Gary Payton. Payton's first points.
Fine shooting by the Sonics from the outside. But if the Knicks have a preference, they just as soon see the Sonics shooting jumpers as opposed to inside slams.
Knicks shooting 64%. And up by 3. Ewing for Oakley. And it's off Kendall Gill, out of bounds. Knick ball.
George Carl was asking me before the game, is Anthony Mason playing? He had some thoughts about that, and I'm sure he's not happy to see Mason back as the Knicks are.
Starks rolls it around. That layup by Mason on the break a moment ago had to feel good. Coming into this in his last 5 games, he'd only made 1 of his last 10 shots. Another long-range sonic bomb. Kendall Gill.
Well, Al, Mason didn't play but 5 minutes the other night against the Clippers. Knicks mishandling that ball. Oakley to Starks. They're trying to talk it over, but it's too late. Mason also did not play against Phoenix. He's had some bruised ribs, so the Knicks are delighted to have him back.
Gill's shot was a 3, tying the score at 22. Sonics lead the league in forcing turnovers, and the Knicks have committed 5. Anthony Mason called on the foul. And this packed crowd just under 15,000, very much alive. Just under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Very well here in the first half. Knicks a little better than the Sonics right now. The defense for the Knicks this season, on the average, only allowing 92 a game, 44% for their opponents. Over the last 5 games, however, the Knicks have been allowing a plus 10 more points per game, and allowing close to 50% for their opponents. The Knicks are 3 wins and 2 losses over the last 5 games. Pat Riley would like to see his team get back to those statistics that have been averaged for the year. They're much better than the last 5.
2:56 to go in the first quarter. A lot of intensity. Nate McMillan checks into the game for the Seattle Supersonics. Knicks return with the same unit that left when the timeout was called. Sean Kemp hits another jumper. It's a 7-zip Seattle run. They've taken the lead 24-22.
Now we're seeing an unusually fine jump shooting performance by a team. The Sonics, that is.
Michael Cage grabs the rebound. Starks races over to pick up Kendall Gill. The ex-Hornet for Cage. Payton. Air ball is grabbed by Mason. Starks for 3. Ewing tries to follow, uses his advantage. He's off, and so are the Knicks.
Starks cannot rush those jumpers.
Seattle turnover.
Knicks have already shown those patients how they can get good shots. Now here comes one of the NBA's best, Ricky Pierce.
He's just short of being a point-a-minute player this season, and he gets his fair share of minutes. Pierce scoring in 637 minutes, 566 points. Derek Harper draws the foul as Pierce commits a quick one.
Al, to support what you just said, in the last game that the Sonics played against the Nets when they broke a 3-game losing streak, Ricky Pierce had 20 points in 18 minutes.
Derek Harper steps to the free throw line. 1 3-pointer
Both players have been complimentary, one on the bench, one on the court this season, but Pat sees something in the matchups where he likes both of those players out there together now. Part of that must be because of the defensive pressure both players present, and also their ability to run the court and maintain the tempo that the Sonics like to play on as well.
There's so many of those long, pensive moments in the course of a game. Usually when the team is being introduced, there's a big one. Sometimes even during timeouts. That was one of those times where he was thinking. Harper misses and the Sonics are running.
Strength of Sean Kemp's hands in wrestling that ball from Ewing.
Nate McMillan guarded by Bonner. Bonner, Mason, Ewing, Starks, and Harper. McMillan. Kicked up by Kemp.
First team all-star in the West as a forward. Sean Kemp showing he can also work around the basket. Knicks know that, though. They've got to give him more respect.
Ewing is played down by Kemp. Spins to the basket. Kemp with the steal. Harper starts the back. Here's picked up by Starks. Unbelievable how Kemp broke through. It looked to be so close down to the Knicks.
Knicks will roll into that.
40 seconds to go in the quarter. Starks stopped on the drive. Then they call it out.
The Knicks need out. They need more penetration. Can't satisfy themselves.
Sean Kemp is
Going back to that last basket.
in the last 2
Kemp
minutes.
breaks down the middle. Well, he looked like a
At the free
half-back
throw
or
line,
fullback going to the line. And a
Starks
perfect
shooting 2 shots.
time to move, and Ricky Pierce knew what was happening.
Seattle runs. Sam Perkins returns.
Supersonic substitution number 14, Sam Perkins.
He replaces Sean Kemp.
Checks in for Sean Kemp.
Gary Payton walked by Anthony Bonner and gave an affectionate massage along the nose there.
His hand on his face.
Obviously, they're good friends.
George Karl, one-time coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, where he was a sub-500 coach. One-time coach of the Golden State Warriors, where he was a sub-500 coach. Three-time coach of the year in the CBA, and coach for a season in Spain, where he got this chance and has made the most of it, without a doubt. Starks hits the nightcap on the trip to the line, and it's 24 for the next 28 for the Sonics. Ricky Pierce hesitated. Starks went at him, gave him some space. 10 on the 24-second clock. Now 7. Mason with the steal. Starks breaks out and gets the pass from Mason.
Mason made that play with his anticipating, made the Sonics cough it up.
This is a very important finish to this first quarter for the Knicks. They have absorbed that big Seattle run, and it's only a 2-point difference. Payton. Ewing grabs it, and they're not going to call goaltending.
It was short of the basket. I think that's what Dick Pavetta is indicating.
Dick Pavetta is over by George Karl, telling him it was well short of the basket.
28, New York, 26.
It was not going toward the basket. It wasn't close enough. Another look at the angle here. Better look at the angle. You can see. Very tenacious defense by the Knicks. Ewing taking chances, but he gambled and won.
The shot did beat the red light, but it does not go.
Category.
Back in Seattle, Washington, Al Travigan, Marv Albert, along with John Andres. Second quarter just beginning. The Sonics leading the Knicks by only 2, and it was all Seattle down the stretch of that first quarter, but the Knicks did a good job of keeping it close. Patrick Ewing with another rebound. That's 5 rebounds for Patrick Ewing in the first 12 minutes.
This is the kind of game that could be a very important one for the contributions of Derek Harper and the Knicks. Mason showing the touch. Harper is matched up with a tough guy, the leader of this team, the guy that George Karl says is his MVP, and that's Gary Payton. Harper, with his history, is up to handling Payton.
Mason getting some of his shooting confidence back. He's 2 for 2. Pierce for Gary Payton. That's 4 points now for Gary Payton, and as it shows on the stat sheet, the Sonics are spreading it around. 10 for Kemp, 6 for Schrempf, 7 for Perkins, 4 for Payton, 3 for Gill. Nate McMillan forces Rolando Blackman to step on the sideline.
The Sonics take great pride in their pressure. They love to press the ball, and that's exactly what McMillan did, as we see Vincent Askew checking into the game.
Big pass to Pierce. Gets the foul, but couldn't make the layup.
One of the reasons Pierce is the scorer he is because of his ability to move without the ball. It's a big challenge now for the Knicks to stay with him, to help out. He keeps moving till he gets the basketball.
Seattle's been able to create some startling breaks to the basket. Ricky Pierce has been involved with a lot of them. And talk about 6 men. Well, the Sonics have 2 very prominent 6 men on their roster. Ricky Pierce, who won it in '86-'87, then repeated in '89-'90. Detlef Schrempf, who won it twice as a starter now for the Sonics.
We're looking at the 3rd best foul shooter in the NBA right now, and Ricky Pierce over 90% from the foul line.
Rolando Blackman. Oh, 3-pointer for Rowe. He had 9 big points in the victory over LA in Anaheim on Thursday off the bench. McMillan looks for Pierce. Cuts underneath Ewing. Dropped the ball off the chest of Mason. And Mason lost it back. Perkins. Quick transition by Seattle. It's a 3-point lead. Rolando Blackman. 2 in a row. 2 straight 3-pointers by Rolando Blackman. Pierce lost it. Saved by McMillan. Dick Bavetta said he stepped on the end line. Nick ball.
Knicks have been thirsting for this kind of jump shooting that they're getting now.
Knicks have committed 8 turnovers to Seattle's 6. Charles Smith returns for New York, replacing Patrick Ewing.
Knicks average 17 turnovers a game. They're a little ahead of schedule now.
Harper for Smith. Pat Riley not forced into a Herb Williams move here because of Seattle's size. They're on the small side. Bonner. Air ball. Saved by Charles Smith. A tightrope along the baseline. Between the legs on Perkins, and he doesn't get the shot off. 24-second clock had expired. Bonner's shot was an air ball. Tied at 34. Steal by Harper. Derek Harper drops it in as he stole the ball from the NBA steals leader, Nate McMillan. The other end, Askew. Short, follows his own.
Knicks played him so well, too, on the initial drive, making him take a tough shot.
Tied at 36. Both teams have had slim leads. Knicks 6, Seattle 5, but that's close, and it's tied right now.
Oh, the Charles Smith, the biggest man the Knicks have, is out on the side, on the perimeter.
Knicks mishandle the ball. McMillan. Perfectly played by Smith and Bonner.
Knicks have a 5-on-3.
Anthony Bonner right through the middle of Seattle's defense. Knicks in front with 8.5 to go in the half. Perkins backs in on Mason. Around the perimeter for McMillan, and wide open is Michael Cade.
That's beautiful.
That's what ball movement will do for you. Ball movement and just plain movement by the players.
Cade showed some special qualities, though, the way he delivered that in so nicely.
Harper pulls up. Cage with the rebound.
Boy, what a wingspan Cage has.
He really
puts
does.
those arms up.
Yeah. Well, Boeing is in town. That works. Foul on the Knicks.
Last Knicks field goal. Knicks working hard at the defensive end. Bonner, rebound, up the court. All of a sudden, it's 5 against 3. The middle's wide open. Bonner, end to end. Beautifully done.
The foul was on Anthony Mason. Charles Oakley replaces Mace as he leaves. Nate McMillan on the line. John, how's his for confidence? When asked why he wears the number 10, Nate McMillan said, well, I think of myself on a scale of 1 to 10 as a 10.
Well, he's backing it up right now, as you mentioned, leading the league in steals and also among the league leaders in three-point shooting.
Sonics up by a deuce just under 8 minutes to go, and Blackman exchanging words with Vincent Askew as a foul is called, and the Knicks will take it out of bounds. Gary Payton will return now, and Steve McMillan will lead.
That foul was called on Askew.
George Karl has a lot of depth to play with.
Charles Oakley back on the scene now.
Harper, guarded by Payton, uses the Oakley screen. Blackman, no one cutting through the middle for the Knicks. It's a perimeter movement. Now Smith breaks free. Blackman steps inside the three-point line and hits his third straight shot.
Boy, he's feeling that ball so beautifully.
Blackman 3 for 3, 8 points. That's the Ricky Pierce kind of spark off the bench. 40 all. They clear it out for Sam Perkins. Bottled up on the baseline. Out for Pierce. In traffic. The air ball is grabbed by Cage.
Great help by the Knicks on the initial shot. Michael Cage in the right spot.
Michael Cage is hurting the Knicks inside.
Get the feeling Harper does not want to shoot the ball. He wants to pass it.
Wrong, John. Oakley with a battle to save it. It's won by Cage. Beautiful pass for Perkins. We have seen some passing in this first half from both teams.
Great first half by both teams.
Sonics break open a 4-point lead. Blackman with a smile as he and Askew have something going here. Blackman double team, 3 on the 24-second clock. It's stolen away from Charles Smith, and Payton saves it.
Oh, what a play. What a play by Payton between the legs on the inbound save to his teammate.
Seattle's biggest lead of the game. Back in a moment. Charles Oakley's face.
Number 50, Greg Anthony.
5:40 to go. Knicks a bit rattled here as John Starks returns. Pierce, quick release. Oakley, that extra bounce off the rim hurt his timing. Fresh cycle on the 24-second clock for Seattle. The Knicks have committed 12 turnovers now. Perkins rolls one in and out.
Good rotation by the Knicks defensively, not letting the Sonics get the easy shot.
Greg Anthony has returned for New York. It is the Knicks starting lineup on the floor right now. Smith with position. Ewing couldn't find him. Oakley's shot is stopped by Askew. Anthony saves it. 4 on the 24-second clock. Anthony with a heave. That's well short. Gary Payton for 3. Knicks have to find a way to break the Sonics defense.
They can't get inside enough now. The Knicks cannot get the ball inside.
Everything seems hesitant for New York.
Why is Oakley a ball handler at the top of the circle?
He commits the foul with the violation with a travel.
Charles Smith is outside. Charles Oakley is outside. Sonics are succeeding in getting the Knicks to a perimeter game, even involving their big men. Whereas Ewing is the power, and he's not getting the ball down low.
Fans just provided George Karl with a standing ovation. All he did was send Shawn Kemp back into the game. It's a 9-0 run by Seattle. Vincent Askew with a rainbow. Huge high arcing shot by Vincent Askew, and the Sonics have broken it open. They lead it by 11. Timeout, New York. Pat Riley livid. He's letting Charles Smith hear it.
Oakley and Payton almost got into it now. Payton indicating to official Dick Pavetta, I don't like that elbow he just flashed.
Well, the tension's leading to a few things here.
The Knicks have got to think about playing basketball in a pure sense as opposed to a pushing, shoving, elbowing sense now. The collision there of forces between two physical players. Payton doesn't have the size to match Oakley, but he's got the attitude to do so.
Knicks haven't scored in more than 3 minutes. And the Sonics lead at 51-40. Greg Anthony. Almost stolen by Gary Payton. This Sonics team is quick. Anthony on the drive, rejected by Perkins. Nick ball out of bounds, 10 to go on the 24-second clock.
Anthony almost there, but Sam Perkins sends that baby away.
Mason struggles to get it in, but does. Starks for three. Way off. Mason follows, and that's a very important hoop. As important a hoop as you can have in the second quarter of an important game.
How lucky the Knicks were on that play.
Second team foul.
Ricky Pierce commits the foul, and Kendall Gill will return.
John Starks with a very low percentage shot. However, Mason is a good guy, Al. Did good things today before getting here because he got a break on that play.
Mason gets it to drop. So Anthony Mason is 3 for 3 and has 7 points in the game. An important bench contribution by Anthony Mason. Gary Payton for Askew, picked up by Mason. Sam Perkins for 3. Oakley and Mason both there to corral the rebound. Sonics lead it by 8.
Knicks are not making the life of the Sonics miserable enough inside around the basket.
Ewing over Perkins, draws the foul. And that's something the Knicks haven't done for a long stretch of minutes, and that's get Patrick Ewing re-involved in the offense.
14, Sam Perkins, his second.
Second foul on Sam Perkins. Detlef Schrempf returns, replaces Vincent Askew.
This is the one dominating position and matchup that the Knicks have, and that is Ewing against anybody who's guarding him. The Sonics have done a great job diminishing the effect of the Knicks in that department by not allowing them to get the ball inside until a moment ago, as you mentioned, Al.
Knicks gather at the free throw line for a mini caucus. Ewing off. They're holding up those yellow signs. They say Seattle's Brickyard.
Patrick, over the last 6 games, is averaging 85% from the foul line. Best foul shooter among the top 4 scorers in the NBA, all of whom are centers.
1 for 2 there, and it's a 7-point Seattle lead. Payton with the slow, deliberate back in on Greg Anthony. Gill pops out, now Schrempf. Kendall Gill.
I haven't seen a jump shooting performance by any team in the NBA like we've seen here in the first half tonight, and that's Seattle. They are doing a tremendous job with jump shooting.
John Starks off again. Huge follow by Ewing. Starks is now 2 for 8. He's having a tough time in this first half. Ewing battles for the turnaround, and it's an offensive foul on Patrick Ewing.
Seattle timeout.
And there's a timeout on the floor here at the Coliseum in Seattle. Sonics 53, Knicks 44. Back and forth because the television station that carries Portland is also carrying the Super Bowl. It has been changed once again, we told you moments ago, but game night will be at 10 o'clock. The game will begin at 10:30 Eastern Time tomorrow, the Knicks and the Portland Trailblazers. 2:23 to go as you look at the evenly balanced shooting numbers so far in this first half, but it's not even on the scoreboard. Oakley in front of Kendall Gill on the rebound. Sonics by 9. Look how fast Seattle gets back. Starks off again. Oakley breaks free. Now Mason. Mason's first miss.
The contrast in the perimeter shooting is so visible now between the two teams, and it's expressed on the 9-point difference on the scoreboard now in favor of the Sonics.
Payton for 3. This team is deadly. Gary Payton with another three-pointer. It is 56-44.
It puts great pressure on the defense. You cannot assume your man can't shoot the ball. You got to be up in everyone's face.
Starks, great pass. Sean Kemp rejecting Charles Oakley. So Oakley will go to the line for 2.
His first. That's the first in the last 2 minutes.
Pick and roll here now. Ewing is free, but Starks can't see him, but he does see Charles Oakley. He draws the foul.
Replacing Sam Perkins. Charles Oakley at the free throw line for 2 shots.
Sam Perkins checks out. Michael Cage checks in.
What a pair of shoulders on Cage.
Lifted a few weights in his time, John.
Michael Cage. When you say his name like you say Charles Oakley's name, you think of rebounding.
Meanwhile, free throws start to bother the Knicks. They're 6 for 10 from the line. You know, this is one of those games that, you know, the Knicks have to start thinking about how many good teams in this league they've gone up against on the road and how they've been unable to win those big games. Here's Seattle in the toughest arena to win in for road teams, and here's a call that goes against Seattle.
Michael Cage with the pick. He was moving when he said it. Payton dribbling that ball up court. He just lifts up those arms to get rid of Greg Anthony and also to avoid some pain himself.
He wasn't moving.
He lifted the arms up.
Meanwhile, Mason.
Gotta be a man and take the pain, Al.
You sound like want to put him on the John Madden team?
Sound like Pat Riley, right? Be a man.
Anthony Mason's 4 for 5 in this first half for 9 points. Payton and Trent work a give and go between them. Ewing lost it out of bounds.
If the Knicks can put enough pressure on the jump shooters and get them to start missing, all of a sudden the Seattle offense will disappear, because that's what their offense has been in the first half.
Mason grabs the Kemp miss. 40 seconds to go in the first half. Starks gets the screen, lofts it for Ewing. And Patrick Ewing hits from the baseline, 9 points.
See that left-handed pass by Starks? He doesn't do that often, but that was very nice. Left-handed pass enabled him to get that ball to Ewing on the double team of him.
Knicks closing out this first half with a 5-0 run. John Starks called on that play with a blocking foul. 21 seconds to go.
John Starks asks for better for the explanation.
Substitution for Seattle, number 14, Sam Perkins.
No call there.
Tries to draw it there.
Also into the game for the New York Knicks, number 20.
Sometimes things are tough to figure. John Starks with 2 fouls is pulled here so that he doesn't get a quick third.
John caused contact, but he was also denying the offensive man his path.
Steal by Greg Anthony. Huge steal to end this first half. Greg Anthony makes it a 56-51 game, a 7-zip Knick run. Now they try to prevent Seattle from being successful on the last shot. Sam Perkins hard off the glass. Except time for something. And they don't get it off.
It's halftime.
An encouraging finish to this first half for Pat Riley's Knicks. At halftime, it is the Seattle Supersonics 58 and the Knicks 51. Bruce Beck will have an update from the MSG Sports Desk when we come back. Who scored how many in a matter of moments, but first, the bigger picture from Bruce Beck at the MSG Sports Desk.
Thank you very much, Al. The New Jersey Nets are also on the coast tonight, taking on the Golden State Warriors, who they crushed by 26 at the Meadowlands last Saturday. In the second quarter, the Nets trail the Warriors by a score of 32-29. Don Nelson trying to get his ball club back in it after getting blown out last week. In the first quarter, though, Kenny to Derrick to Morris for the jam. Warriors respond later in the first quarter. Latrell Sprewell, great steal, takes it away from Benoit Benjamin and finishes it up with the jam. Right now, the Warriors have the lead. Orlando at Washington. Tree Rollins of the Magic working double duty with clipboard in hand. Washington rookie Calvert Cheney hit an 8 of 9 from the floor out of the gate. This layup made it 20-15 in the first quarter. Third quarter, Washington rookie George Murasan with a nifty steal of a Jeff Turner pass. Michael Adams to Tom Gugliotta for the layup. The Bullets lead it 58-55. Fourth quarter, the Bullets blow it. Off the Gugliotta drive, Tree Rollins with the block without the clipboard. Orlando on the break. Donald Royal with the layup makes it 93-91 Magic. The Magic win it 103-99. They have won 6 of their last 7. It's not much of a year for local college basketball. St. John's is struggling, and so is Seton Hall. This afternoon, the Pirates dropped to 10-7 overall, 3-6 in the Big East with a 70-58 loss to Boston College at the Conti Forum. And once again, PJ has been very upset with his ball club. He isn't talking to very many people. First half, Malcolm Huckabee with the steal, takes it from Andre Brown, goes in for the layup. BC up by 3. Jimmy O'Brien's Eagles up by 3 at the half. And in the second half, Arturas Karnicevic, who had 21, misses the layup. Billy Curley with the rebound, feeds Howard Isley. He goes coast to coast for the layup. It fuels a 14-0 BC run. And PJ all alone with his thoughts as BC wins it by 12. On the Big East scoreboard, UConn off to their best start in the school's history, 18-1, 8-0 in the league. Danielle Marshall had 26. Syracuse smoked Villanova 87-68. Moton had 23. The Orange 13-3 overall. Georgetown a 77-40 win over Miami. The Hurricanes a woeful 0-8 in league play. Michael Brown at 27. The Friars beat Notre Dame by 7 points. The Friars are 11-5. On the national scene, what a day for Charlie Ward. Florida State at Georgia Tech, late second quarter. What a pass by Ward to Bobby Sura, who had 21 points. Florida State up by 1 at Atlanta. Now down 1, seconds remaining. And Charlie Ward takes it to the hoop for the layup. Florida State wins it, upsetting Georgia Tech 74-73. Florida State 9-7 overall, 2-6 in league play. Big day for the Heisman Trophy winner. That's Jimmy Johnson, the cornerback. Also today, the Yankees announced that Lee Smith has signed a 1-year contract with the Baltimore Orioles. Back to Puget Sound, Knicks at Seattle in a moment.
For the Knicks, adding 6 rebounds as well. Welcome back to Seattle. Al Troutwig with John Andres. And John, I think we're all set for an exciting second half, but I think if the Knicks didn't close out the first half with those last 3 minutes, we might not be thinking that.
Yeah, they were in the game, Al. They have to work on some of their imperfections, notably ball handling. They had 14 turnovers in the first half, cost them 14 points. That hurt them the other night against the Clippers when they had 13 in the first half. All in all, they're hanging tough. They're shooting the ball well, but the Sonics are doing everything a little bit better, and that's reflected on the scoreboard.
Some great teamwork plays, and you'll get a feeling for that as we turn now to the highlights, which are brought to you by Minolta, makers of the new Maxim 700 SI, only from the mind of Minolta. Early on, the passing by the Knicks and the Sonics was amazing.
John Starks in a pick-and-roll situation with Ewing late in the first half, and Ewing got that jump shot with a little bit of room. Ewing and Mason worked well also in the first half. Ewing getting the automatic double team, He was going in the direction of Mason and saw him wide open, and Anthony showed the touch. Ricky Pierce, thought of as an offensive player alone, played some defense on that play, stripping Charles Smith. Payton thought he had lost the ball, but no, a remarkable recovery and back to Ricky Pierce for the finish. Great play. And Ricky Pierce also with an offensive play in the form of a gorgeous pass. A well-timed move between Pierce and Sean Kemp left the Knicks mystified on that play.
The Knicks are the 21st team this season to come into Seattle. Only 2 of the previous 20 have left with a win. Back in a moment. Warm-up shots being taken by the Seattle Supersonics and the Knicks. At halftime here at the Seattle Coliseum, it is the Sonics 58 and the Knicks 51. As is our tradition, time to look at some of the key numbers that we find on the halftime stat sheet.
Both teams shooting well from the field. The Sonics slightly better at 53%. On the average, they're a 48% shooting team from the field. Knicks holding their own certainly in the rebounding department, but reboundings haven't been a factor because the shooting has been so good for both teams. In the assist department, Gary Payton leading the way for the Sonics. John Starks, which has been a pattern of late, leading the way for the Knicks with 5. Turnovers hurting the Knicks. 14, too many. Do that twice, you got 28, and you're going to lose a game. Points off turnovers, the Sonics getting 3 more points off the imperfections of the Knicks in handling the ball. The Knicks also in double figures, however, off the Sonics turnovers.
There really is no one glaring advantage for Seattle on the stat sheet. It's a little on the turnovers, it's a little on the free throw line, it's a little on the shooting, and that's been the difference.
As I said, they're just a little better in all departments, and they've got 7+ points.
Now, one more look ahead for the Knicks. A wrap on the 3-game Western swing tomorrow in Portland, Oregon. They'll take on Clyde Drexler and the Blazers. Game night begins our coverage at 10. Second half just underway. Knicks with a steal to start it. Greg Anthony up the floor, sees Starks. He was cold in the first half, but begins the second with a 3. 58-54. It's a 4-point difference. The Knicks battling back from 12 down in the second quarter.
Here's the pattern now. The last 2 games against the Suns and the Clippers, the Knicks were outscored in the first half. And they both those games were won by the Knicks by 2 points.
Sean Kemp meets a Nick Wall underneath. Greg Anthony. And he hits 2 straight shots by the Knicks. 58-56. The Knicks flying out of the locker room. Ewing lets Payton go free. Schrempf finds Perkins. He is met by Oakley. 3 straight trips up the floor, and the Sonics are shut out. Ewing over the shorter Perkins. 3 hits, and the Knicks have tied it 58-58. This packed house is stunned. What an impressive return to the floor by New York.
Correction, that is a full time.
Scoring the first 7 points of the third quarter, stopping the Sonics on their 3 possessions, and they've tied the game. Here's how. Starks with a 3-pointer. That was the first. Then it was Greg Anthony and then Patrick Ewing. And now the Sonics almost lose it out of bounds. Sean Kemp. Schrempf for 3. Ewing and Starks both there for the rebound. All Knicks so far in the first minute and a half of the third. Charles Smith goes up strong and goes up glass. 5 points for Charles Smith.
Charles does that. It's a whole different picture for the Knicks. Charles had 1 field goal in the first half, so the combination of he and Ewing, if they can get going.
Oakley overplays Kemp. It almost cost Seattle the ball. 10 on the 24-second clock. Illegal defense. Oakley and Greg Anthony got caught in between a double team, and it's illegal defense. It's a warning against the Knicks.
Pat asked for the explanation, got it, and bought it.
Fresh 24-second rotation for Seattle. Kemp down low. 3 Knicks around him. Kendall Gill, he's bothered. Payton with a hand in his face is able to hit.
That's the difference in Gary Payton this year at over 16 points a game. Now it's the 4th straight year he's scoring more as the Knicks cough it up.
Seattle tried to call the timeout as he flew out of bounds, and he gets it. They say Schrempf called the timeout in midair. It's a 20.
Starting to think that's the move that John Starks copyrighted. Good play by Schrempf. Then he responds well in recovering the ball and calling the timeout. Midair.
The lady's walking back from the refreshment stand. Watch her now. All of a sudden, Detlef Schrempf is coming right at her. You make. I don't think you spilled a drop.
You handle it well.
Nice agility.
Took the charge.
So it's Seattle's ball at midcourt. She's able to sit down with a smile and no spots on the suit. These are tough tickets to get in these parts, and when the arena is rebuilt 2 seasons from now, it'll seat 3,000 more than it does right now. Foul against the Knicks.
Number 34, Charles Oakley is second.
Charles Oakley. They've even sold the 2 seats right next to Pat Riley. $200 a piece.
Al, I talked to that man before the game. I said, how much for that seat? He said, $275. Can you believe that? I said, yes, I can. That's not all that much in this day and age.
I mean, they're what, 8 inches from Pat Riley as he coaches the game.
This guy told me, the man in the white there with his daughter, he told me that he was going to call Spike Lee, should these teams meet in the finals, and offer to buy Spike's tickets.
Yeah, so Spike,
maybe we can arrange that. We can broker that deal.
I saw Spike in the front row of a Georgia Tech game yesterday. I mean, the guy covers everything. 9:15 to go in the third quarter. The free throws make it a 61-60 Seattle lead. Starks' miss is followed by Charles Oakley. 9 points, 7 rebounds for Oakley. It has been a long stretch of double-doubles for Charles, who's also had 4 assists in the last 2 Knick wins. Detlef Schrempf. Ewing cheats between him and Perkins defensively. Schrempf pulls his way to the baseline. Payton. Well, that was what was going right for Seattle in the first half. It was a jump shooting display. Ewing just too long on the touchdown pass.
Steve Patrick threw a number of those baseball passes this year. This is the first one that has been errant, it seems.
16 turnovers now committed by the Knicks. Payton met by Smith. Much tougher Knick defense here in the third quarter. Schrempf follows his own shot. Out for Payton. He lost it out of bounds. On the scrum, Gary Payton tangles with Charles Oakley. It's important to note, I think, that Oakley was on top with the weight advantage.
That's where Charles spent much of his life. That's on the floor.
Anthony hesitates. He was met by pressure from Payton and Schrempf. And now as the Knicks get ready to get the offense going, 10 on the 24. Charles Smith hits his second straight shot. 7 points for Smith, 4 in this third quarter. Knicks in front by 3. It's a 15-point turnaround from midway in the second quarter when the Sonics led by a dozen. Kemp screens out Anthony, leaving Payton alone. Well long. Oakley, and that's kicked out of bounds by Detlef Schrempf. It'll belong to the Knicks.
The 24-second clock.
Challenge for the Knicks is still to get that ball in low to Ewing, where he has an advantage of size. Got to believe that Sam Perkins doesn't have the size to deal. He doesn't have the size to deal with Ewing.
Stark sets up and hits his second shot of the third quarter. Well, the chilly stroke of the first half is but a memory for John Starks.
Just bear in mind, the more the Knicks do that, the easier it will be for Ewing to get one-on-one matchups, as the Seattle defenders will have to come out more and guard the Knicks shooters on the perimeter, leaving Ewing alone with his man just in that matchup.
Kendall Gill leaves. Checking in is Nate McMillan. Knicks on a 15-3 run.
McMillan in for defense. Carl was not happy with the defense.
Smith is blocking Detlef Schrempf's shot, who recovers it. Perkins well off on the 3. Knicks break out. Starks
owning the boards.
The alley-oop intended for Smith is intercepted. Schrempf met by Ewing, and the ball is swept out of bounds by Greg Anthony. It will be Seattle's ball. Knicks now with 2 scorers in double figures. Ewing 11, Starks with 10. Payton, he's throwing them up here in the third quarter. Ewing decides to dribble it up. Finally gets it to a guard in John Starks.
Impressively done by Ewing.
Starks hesitates, finds Ewing, gets 2 Sonics in the air, and misses. Nicely done by Ewing, though, on the fake. Perkins, soft touch. Timeout as the ball rolled away.
Pat Riley imploring his team to come back as the Sonics greet the Knicks with pressure.
Charles Smith is the safety valve. The Sonics now have forced Ewing to bring it up, and Smith with some good dribbling finds Starks.
McMillan's job is to not give Starks any room. That's what sent Gill to the bench.
Smith sets the screen, almost stolen by Payton. Starks is open for 3. John Starks hits again.
3 points.
Knicks by 6. Starks has 13 points.
Fine look by Greg Anthony finding Starks open. That patience is the difference for the Knicks.
2 3-pointers by John Starks. 2 of 5 from beyond the stripe. Shrimp runs into Ewing. Kemp. McMillan is off. Perkins swats it out of bounds. The Knicks will get it. Knicks have played exceptional basketball here in this third quarter. Defensively, ball movement, shots are falling. Charles Smith, 4 third quarter points. Very active defensively against Perkins. Ewing fakes Perkins, goes on the reverse and draws the foul.
Oh, man, what a move by Patrick Ewing.
Sean Kemp took a shot to the face. Looks like he'll be all right.
Foul is on number 11.
Some move.
That was the move of a small forward. Let's take a look now at our Toyota matchup featuring Patrick Ewing. Ewing with the little fake gets Perkins off balance. The 6'10" Detlef Schrempf comes around. Ewing keeps motoring and gets that beauty in off the backboard.
John Ewing has a chance now to score his 14th point, so Perkins has 15. That's pretty even. The big difference is Patrick Ewing has 11 rebounds. Sam Perkins has 1. Patrick Ewing completes the 3-point play, and the Knicks now lead it 72-63. A 9-point lead. They trailed by 7 at halftime. Nate McMillan now, guarded by Greg Anthony. Perkins and Ricky Pierce, who has checked in. That's what his job is. Come off the bench and hit a few.
Got to stay up on Pierce.
Greg Anthony calls out a play. Mason in motion. Starks pops out using the screen. A high shot that just missed. Pierce, 2 in a row. Mr. Sixth Man, Ricky Pierce. Knicks up by 5. And a timeout is called by Pat Riley. 4:33 to go. Knicks in front in enemy territory.
Responsibly, because friends know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Substitution for Seattle, number 44, Michael Cage.
So far in the third quarter, the Knicks are shooting at an amazing 82%. It's gotten them the lead in this game. The Sonics struggling under the Knicks defense. Oakley for Greg Anthony, pestered by Nate McMillan. 5 on the 24-second clock. Anthony with the reverse all the way. Beautifully done by Greg Anthony.
Big time move by Greg.
The lead is 7. Ricky Pierce. His first miss since coming back into the game, and Anthony Mason bursts out of the pack. Under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Starks and Mason try to post him up. He goes baseline, finds Ewing. Oakley, Starks, 5 on the 24. John Starks is fouled.
The patience of the Knicks on offense on that sequence is spectacular. You know, it's amazing how a team can do such wonderful things in simple fashion, as the Knicks just did. Mason patiently. I mean, that's a shot that 9 out of 10 guys would have forced up as he had the line. And John Starks draws the foul.
Live, John Starks hit the first free throw, and it has given the Knicks a 75-67 lead. Starks with 14 points now, 9 third-quarter points with a chance to make it 10, and he does not.
Interesting, Al. The Knicks come here tonight to Seattle 8-0 against Pacific Division teams this year.
Trent pestered by Mason. Slaps his hand away. Now Pierce, 4 on the 24-second clock, and John Starks clobbers Ricky Pierce.
Well, Pierce has such an assortment of offensive moves and fakes. Anthony Mason a moment ago on trim, not allowing him to get that half step. And Pierce comes in, protecting the ball, gets John to commit.
Pierce hits the first. Different shot. I mean, the Knicks are not allowing the Sonics the jumpers that they got in the first half, and I don't think we've seen one play where the Sonics have exposed the Knicks defense to that quick open pass underneath like they had 4 or 5 or 6 in the first half. 75-69. Knicks by half dozen. The fans turn up the volume. Greg Anthony for Patrick Ewing. Oakley tried to follow, but Cage beat him to the position. McMillan for Schrem. Knicks, good job to get back. Pierce looks inside. Ewing is there waiting for Nate McMillan. Starks with the steal. Starks still going for Mason.
Can't do it any better than that. John Starks with a gigantic play on defense. He was assisted by his teammates, though, and then the finish with Mason running the court beautifully.
Anthony Mason really needed a game like this. He's the third Knick in double figures. He's hit 5 of 6 shots. McMillan overplaying his Oakley. Almost another steal.
Substitution for New York, number 20.
John Starks on his way to a rest after this big play. Comes up with that loose ball. Pushes up court, outruns a couple of the Sonics, and muscles that ball over quite well to Anthony Mason, who doesn't bother with dunking that ball right up and off the backboard.
Sonics come in with fabulous reputation for stealing the ball. Better than 13 a game. Well, right now the Knicks and Sonics are even in that category. 8 steals apiece. John Starks could probably use a break. He's been running.
Sonics have had 3 games this year when they've had 20 or more steals. In fact, they have an NBA high of 3 this year.
Orlando Blackman replaced John Starks. Blackman had a very effective first half. Kemp is stripped of the ball by Oakley, and it's a 24-second violation.
Big play by Charles Oakley. The Knicks are getting turnover moves now against the Sonics. You know, you get a sense of a balloon having a pin put in it now, the way the crowd is and the way the Sonics team is performing.
Turnovers are starting to even out. Knicks with 17, but the Sonics with 14.
Out-of-bounds violation called against New York. Seattle ball
Knicks has handled that.
for the Sonics, number 20.
Anthony and Blackman exchange glances and words. You know, the crowd is as into it as they are, and with teams as high as they are, the tension is almost created instantly. You know, one little misplayed pass, and the tension is very obvious. Ricky Pierce is fouled again.
That was on number 20, Orlando Blackman.
Orlando Blackman is called for the foul.
First in the last 2 minutes. Seattle substitution, number 14, Sam.
You know, the energy is out of the Sonics right now. Not as high. They were living off the jump shooting in the first half. They've yet to establish that.
Sean Kemp out. Sam Perkins checks in. More great defense exhibited by the Knicks. The Sonics unable to even get open for a pass. let alone a shot. Pierce breaks free, creates his own space, and it falls.
Just a great move.
6 points is the Knicks lead. 90 seconds to go in the quarter. Knicks trying to set it up for Patrick Ewing. Michael Cage is doing a good job on him.
Yes, he's denying the pass into Ewing by overplaying him.
Oakley with an amazing pass from Anthony. And it counts with the foul. That was some pass by Greg Anthony.
That was on number 10, Nate McMillan, his first in the last 2 minutes.
Greg, with that fadeaway on that penetrating move, he changed pace on it, got it to Charles perfectly. Little hesitation now. Pulls up and then drives, draws the attention. And what a finish by Oakley.
That's twice now, John, where Greg has taken advantage of a defensive switch. Once, a few minutes ago, he went baseline, scored on a reverse. Now,
oh, what a break by Ewing.
He does it and passes off. Ewing with the steal. 1:05 to go. Knicks up 8. Mason driving on McMillan for Oakley.
When the defense is as aggressive as the Sonics is, you must make extra passes to break it down.
Anthony for 3, followed by Oakley. The moaning and the groaning in the crowd is the prevalent noise right now. They're not used to seeing their Sonics play like this here at home. Rolando Blackman up, under, and in.
Oh, what a touch! Rolando moving, wheeling, turning around, almost losing the ball entirely, turns it into a hoop.
Sam Perkins had the ball hit him in the back. Sonics coming apart a little here. 10-point Knick lead. 10 on the 24-second clock. It's Pierce. Way off. Oakley is there to grab the loose ball. Knicks will play for 1. The Knicks were down at halftime by 7 points. They lead it by 10. Anthony again, this time with a pull-up at the buzzer. Woo! Greg Anthony gets a chest bump galore from John Starks. And the same second half enthusiasm that we saw at the Garden against Phoenix and in Anaheim against the Clippers is evident on the floor right now. Greg Anthony with a confidence that I'm not sure we have seen as a member of the Knicks. The Knicks are up 12. Well, the Knicks burst out of the locker room at the end of halftime, and they dominate in the third quarter over Seattle, 32-13. Shooting 78% to Seattle's 31. Patrick Ewing draws the foul. Trying to make this another come from behind effort for victory. Greg Anthony with this dazzler at the buzzer to end the third.
Yes, that pick by Ewing got him free initially, but he made a spectacular shot when guarded by the taller Perkins.
Patrick Ewing made the first free throw. Charles Smith.
Some interesting numbers, Al, for the Sonics fans to ponder. They're 26-1 when they're leading at the half, but they're 4-7 when trailing after 3 quarters.
Ewing has given the Knicks an 85-71 lead. 16 points for him. Knicks with 5 players in double figures, and Greg Anthony is among them. 11 points, 7 assists for Greg Anthony tonight. Foul on Patrick Ewing.
You know, it's amazing for the Knicks, Al. During that explosive third quarter, they didn't have to live off Patrick Ewing. He only had 4 points in that third quarter as the team showed tremendous balance. But that does set him up for the fourth quarter because they're going to have to guard. The Sonics are going to have to guard the Knicks very carefully, the Knicks other than Ewing.
Pierce with a high arcing shot. Anthony is beaten to the ball by Payton. Askew met by Smith. Perkins from way out. Mason is up there to tap the rebound to himself. Effort.
Good hands.
Blackman in trouble. Smith is tied up and gives it away.
Charles Smith on the miss. Mason there to spring it free, and Greg Anthony right there. So Greg Anthony steps to the free throw line. 11 points, 7 assists, that rebound, and 5 for 8 from the floor. You know, Al, this is one of those games that the league is watching. The 25 other teams around the league are interested in the outcome of the collision between the Sonics and the Knicks. An unfriendly roll. Seattle Supersonics, the top team in the NBA, looking a bit disillusioned at the moment. Earlier tonight, Houston lost at the Summit in Houston to Indiana, and that means that their coach, George Karl, will coach the Western Conference All-Stars in Minneapolis on the 13th of February. And one of the Sonic greats, Lenny Wilkins, whose number hangs here in Seattle, will coach the Eastern Conference All-Stars with the success that the Atlanta Hawks have enjoyed. Rolando Blackman fouls Gary Payton. Lenny Wilkins up there with Freddie Brown and Jack Sikma. 3 retired numbers and a banner saluting the 1979 World Championship team. Rolando Blackman in, replacing Greg Anthony. You can bet the way Greg is playing, he'll be back for crunch time. Got to feel good for a guy who has gone through the lows that Greg has gone through this year, to see him come out and lift his game to the level he has tonight. Now, he's had some fine games over the last several games, certainly the last dozen. He's had some outstanding efforts, but tonight in a game of this magnitude, that's really noteworthy.
That left front. Mason and Smith. Kemp wins the battle. The only thing that Gary Payton doesn't do well is shoot free throws. He's only 55% from the line. 52 from the field. Now that's so weird, it defies explanation. But Payton's 2 misses didn't necessarily hurt the team, because the second one was saved by Detlef Schrempf, and the Sonics have 15 seconds on the 24-second clock. Under 10 minutes to go in the 4th quarter in Seattle. Vincent Askew, guarded by Rolando Blackman. They had something going in the first half. All Knicks on the rebound, and here's Anthony Mason.
Boy, the Sonics are tasting man-to-man defense at its best now, as the Knicks have really come on strong.
Charles Smith from Mason.
Gotta love how Mason doesn't force his shots.
Rolando Blackman, all net.
Mason's hurt, limping up court.
Perfect stroke by Rolando Blackman. Yes, Anthony Mason is limping slightly as he returns to the Knicks bench. Timeout in Seattle, 9:27 to go. Knicks by 17.
7-13, favor of the Knicks. The roof has fallen in on the Sonics.
George Karl's team hasn't scored in more than 4 minutes. They have 18 points in the second half, and we've played almost 15 minutes of basketball. And from a Knicks standpoint, things were looking so bleak for as dominant as Seattle was midway through the second quarter. When the Knicks were mishandling the ball, missing shots, Seattle was hitting everything, and they had a 12-point lead. Well, it's all gone, plus another 17 points. A 29-point turnaround in this game.
See if there's a walk here, Al. Kept going in the air, coming down, and then getting rid of the ball. He traveled.
Foul was on Charles Smith, sending Sam Perkins to the line.
Tough to criticize the Seattle team that has dominated the NBA this year. Team that started out winning their first 10 games, winning 26 of their first 29 games.
And all the winning streaks.
But in the last 10 games, they come in tonight 5-5, so they've lost their luster of late.
9 minutes to go as Anthony Mason beats the double team with a pass to Derek Harper. Smith for Blackman for 3. Ewing with a huge rebound and the putback. That's where Ewing is just annihilating Sam Perkins off the board.
That's the superiority, though. He's got more size, and it showed.
18 points, 13 rebounds for Patrick Ewing. Perkins Ewing, because Perkins is way outside. Ewing is alone for the rebound. Picks up 17, 8.5 minutes to go.
Knicks are spreading out the Sonics so well. Ewing under pressure draws the foul, but moving that ball as beautifully as they have any time this season. And when you move the ball and spread it out, even a team as tough as the Sonics on defense is subject to giving up good shots. It's spread out well now.
I'll tell you what else, John. We caught a look at Sean Kemp a moment ago. Kemp's the all-star starter from the West. 1 point in the second half. Knicks have done so much defensively to completely turn this game around. Ewing hits. It is 92-73 lead for the Knicks.
Talk about body language too, Al. The Knicks right now showing the great confidence that they've earned.
Askew, wild off the rim pass. Again, it's Mason out of the backcourt. He's showing no ill effect from whatever injury he had a few moments ago.
Quite a display of ball handling by Mason.
Harper for Blackman. Ewing posts up, draws 3 Sonics, saved by Blackman. And Rolando Blackman hits another. Blackman with 14 points. He's 6 of 7 from the floor.
The balance for the Knicks is amazing.
6 Knicks in double figures. Trent gets it to fall with the foul.
Finally, something for the fans to be happy about.
How's the irony in this, John? You know, we come on the air tonight touting the Seattle Supersonics as well as it was deserved about how they have 6 players averaging in double figures. And what did the Knicks do tonight? They produced 6 shooters in double figures on the board.
That left Schrempf working his way down the basket and finishes with a beauty, but can't complete the three-point play. And yet the Knicks had no one in double figures at halftime.
Now they have 6. Oakley, Ewing, Anthony, Starks, Mason, Blackman. Nice thing about that is that 2 of the double-figure scorers are off the bench.
What a play by Payton, stripping that ball from Harper.
Schrempf. Foul is on Charles Smith. That's his 3rd. John Starks taking off the warm-ups. And you know, if you watch the first half, you know how explosive the Seattle Supersonics can be. But nothing seems to be working for them right now. John Starks replaces Rolando Blackman. Blackman leaves 6 of 7 from the floor, 14 points. John Starks, this is him watching the game. He's living and breathing with every pass and every shot. And now he's back on the floor. Sonics force Smith to bring the ball up. He does. He sees some space. These big men have shown great ability to dribble tonight. They've been forced to on many occasions. Anthony Mason with a reverse.
Boy, Mason is really out tonight. He is wild, and what a performance by him.
13 points for Mason. He's only missed 1 shot. So Mason and Blackman both play. And right now, they've only missed 1 shot apiece.
But you know, in a way, Al, the fouls like this are good. They're showing the Sonics that they're not going to get to the basket without interference. It doesn't hurt to use some fouls when you enjoy a lead as the Knicks do right now. A 20-point lead. They're just still showing how tough they are physically and how they're not going to allow easy hoops.
John, you mentioned you think a lot of people around the NBA have their satellite dishes pointed in MSG's direction tonight. What do you think they're thinking if they're not watching the game, but they are monitoring the score, and they see 96-76 Knicks in the 4th?
They're thinking the Sonics stink and the Knicks are great. And they're wrong.
A brief delay with a wet spot on the floor.
It's interesting, too, how Pat Riley before the game talked about how this is one of many tough ones coming up. Kind of with that coach's attitude of you know, it's only the middle of the season right now. Let's not overreact to a meeting. But the players certainly are carrying a different message. The players in the blue shirts, that is.
High pressure by the Sonics now in an effort to create a flurry of turnovers, maybe a run for themselves. But the Knicks have Derek Harper spinning away from a double team. Ewing way outside. 5 on the 24. Charles Smith for his second three-pointer in the game.
Charles is certainly defying the skeptics with this long-range jump shooting. I mean, the man is 6'10", and all of a sudden, the further out he goes, the more effective he gets.
The Knicks now have 7 scorers in double figures as Charles Smith has now scored 10. 2 3-pointers tonight. A week ago, prior to the Orlando game, Charles Smith only had 1 in his entire career. Now he's had 4 this week alone.
Meanwhile, the Portland Trailblazer scouts, looking at the Knicks tonight, are doing a lot of erasing from the prior scouting reports this year, as the Knicks are featuring so much balance. You know, defending Ewing was not the answer tonight, because the Knicks had other things in mind, or other executions rather.
Sam Perkins at 6'9", the starting center for a team that is now the top team in the NBA. But so many of the skeptics in this town think that would be a weakness that would be exposed in a big way in a 7-game series against the Houston Rockets and Hakeem Olajuwon. Should it come down to that. Knicks up by an even 20 with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Harper finds Ewing, bounces for Mason, kicks it for Smith, who finds Starks for 3. Nate McMillan, a very quiet game for him. Detlef Schrempf for a 3-pointer. The lead is 17 points. Mason screams for help on the inbound. Seattle with heavy pressure on the ball, and they force the turnover after the 3-pointer.
That's Gary Payton's best attribute, pressure on the ball against one of the best men also in the NBA. This time Harper coughed it up though.
McMillan for Payton. That's a 2-pointer.
Here they come.
A quick 5 points for the Seattle Supersonics. The time remaining 5:14. The Knicks lead 15.
Performance at
When the Knicks take on Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns on February 27th. For information and a free brochure, call 212-268-8844.
John, it doesn't say whether the trip includes a meeting with Knicks VIPs or not. Would you think that would be a tradition that's continued?
Absolutely, Al. It's an automatic.
John Andres would know. I'm Al Trawigan for Marv Albert tonight. The Sonics putting on the pressure, and they've got the right man on the floor to do it, and Nate McMillan and Gary Payton, who's 6th in the NBA in steals. This is a theft-minded team, and the Knicks give it away again. McMillan for Schrempf. A 7-point change and a run by Seattle.
Greg Anthony just replaced Derek Harper.
Starks picks up a double team. Now Mason up the floor. He's greeted by a double team. 7-0 the Seattle run. Starks furious as he motions Smith away from Ewing. Patrick Ewing fouled. Missing on the shot. Sean Kemp is beside himself. He doesn't think he fouled Patrick Ewing.
That was on number 40. Sean Kemp is 5th. 14 foul.
That was an impressive display by Seattle on the last 2 minutes.
For 2 shots.
What the Knicks are facing now, and will face for the remainder of this game, 4.5 minutes to go, is defensive pressure, led by McMillan and Payton, number 1 and number 6 in the NBA in steals. Most unusual to have 2 members of the same team in the top 10, much less the top 6. This is where Anthony Mason's value really shows, how he is able to bring that ball up court.
Sonics just short of their season average, 12 steals in this game. Knicks 9. McMillan. The Sonics suddenly creating some space with their movement. Traveling was called on Detlef Schrempf. Knicks up by 14. 90 seconds ago, it was a 20-point lead. Anthony for Starks. Knicks go cold. Sonics heated up. Payton on the run. 12-point difference. 4 minutes to go.
Anthony certainly gave ground on that move by Payton.
Knicks need something to happen on offense. Starks for Ewing, who's open. Now Kendall Gill. And Payton bangs into Greg Anthony. Sean Kemp with an invisible second half. Out to Gill. He's been quiet.
Bad shot by Gill. That deflates his team. All the Knicks have to do is play even now. And they win by 12.
Starks eludes Kendall Gill and is fouled on the drive.
That was on number 13, Kendall Gill.
Kendall Gill is called for his first personal foul. And a timeout has been called here in Seattle. 3:17 to go. Knicks trying to hang on to their big lead. 12 in the second quarter, down 7 at halftime. A complete reversal in the third quarter. They built up a 21-point lead. That lasted until about 3 minutes ago when the Sonics turned up the heat defensively, utilizing Nate McMillan and Gary Payton's speed. The difference now is 12, 3:17 to go as they try to hang on and corral what would be their most important road win of the year.
As we said earlier, the Knicks are 8-0 against Pacific Division opponents this season.
For New York. Number 3,
John Starks will step to the free throw line. 5 of 15 tonight. 8 assists. 14 points. John's in a little bit of a drought from the free throw line.
That spells nervousness when you miss that short.
Got 2 of 6 from the free throw line tonight.
Too much tension in his motion.
Payton for Kendall Gill. Another way off shot. Ewing and Mason team up for the rebound. Now 3 minutes to go in Seattle. Sonics defenders draped over every Knick that carries the ball. Stark sends Greg Anthony away. We'll use the Ewing screen. Deflected out of bounds. It will be Knick ball.
You want the ball in the hands of Mason.
You got 4 seconds left on the 24-second clock, and a 20-second timeout is called by the Knicks. Let's see how important Pat Riley thinks this little 4-second possession is going to be. For the next 6 weeks that Pat Riley will talk about tomorrow.
Knicks are showing their dominance on the boards right now, leading the Sonics in rebounding 38-31.
4 seconds on the 24-second clock. The Knicks took the timeout to set up a play. Charles Smith. Way off. Starks can't get it up.
24-second violation.
Charles Smith was very deep in the corner. Whenever the Knicks screw up in that huddle, it didn't pan out the way they thought on that possession. 2.5 to go. Detlef Schrempf for Kendall Gill. Payton. Gary Payton rolls one in.
Well, right around Anthony once again.
The steal, and Payton misses on the layup. A big Knick break. Anthony is fouled as he passed it across midcourt.
That was on number 10, Nate McMillan. His second.
Gary Payton. Smiley, he came so close to making this place erupt.
Inbound steal.
Anthony with free throw
Payton,
line.
McMillan, this entire Sonics team, they can create enormous pressure. It's a 12-2 Seattle Supersonics run. Greg Anthony at the line. The Knicks on the game have lost 10 points on the free throw line. Prior to that free throw, 15 of 25. To 90.
That's leadership. Courage at the foul line in a moment like this shown by Greg Anthony.
A very significant game for Anthony. Payton from Kemp. He is off. McMillan will be called for an offensive foul.
Yes, Mason had the inside position and McMillan disposed of him.
Loose ball foul on number 10.
Loose ball
McMillan.
foul against Nate
Third.
McMillan. Seattle is over the limit. Third on McMillan, so it's a shooting foul for Anthony Mason.
George Karl, known as a very excitable coach, showing much poise tonight with the disappointing performance of his team.
Mason hits the first.
George told us before the game that he had put so much preparation into this game along with his assistant coaches, treating it much like a playoff game. They broke their 3-game losing streak the other night with the New Jersey Nets visiting here, and they felt they were back on track coming in to meet the Knicks tonight.
15 points, 8 rebounds for Anthony Mason. He and Greg Anthony a big part of this second half. Payton is off. Ewing is there for the rebound, and the Knicks seem to have settled down from that flurry that was created by Seattle a couple of minutes ago. That is 17 rebounds now for Patrick Ewing to go with his 21 points. 1:40 to go. Starks in traffic, helped by Smith. It's a race to the ball with 7 seconds on the 24-second clock. Mason draws a foul as he collides with Kemp and Trent.
You know, I think back to when George Karl asked before the game if Mason was playing tonight. Interesting how he focused on him. More interesting how Mason has presented what he has to the Sonics. He has been of immense importance to the Knicks tonight.
And another sellout crowd begins to head to the exits here in downtown Seattle, Washington. They believe it will wind up being only the third loss by Seattle at home this season. But it is a little bit of a January trend. They've only been a 500 team in their last 10. And this would be their 4th loss in 5 games. 80 seconds to go. Kendall Gill, a bad game. Ewing with another rebound. That's 18.
It has been a 56-32 second half. For the 3rd straight game, the Knicks, after trailing in the first half, have come on. Only the other 2 games, they won by 2.
John, you almost have to think that from Seattle's perspective, they're going to deal with this game the way the Knicks dealt with what Houston did to them at the Garden in that big victory for the Rockets. Kendall Gill with a mouthful there. A lot of frustration in his mind, I'm sure. Gill 2 of 8 from the floor, make it 2 of 9 with only 5 points. He's a double-digit average scorer as Gary Payton leaves. Another good game for Gary Payton. Gary Payton leaves, 19 points, 8 of 17, 5 assists, and more chest bumping by the Knicks, who will go 2-0 on this 3-game Western swing. And they will win tonight in the toughest road arena to win in the NBA.
Interesting contrast to last year. If you look at a happy Patrick Ewing when the Knicks were on this road trip, same 3 teams, and it was an 0-3 trip for the Knicks. Meanwhile, the Sonics will get an opportunity at getting back at the Knicks in New York on February 22nd.
It's Chris King who just checked into the game for the Seattle Supersonics. This one is all but over with 40 seconds to go. It's going to be one of those games. Right now it's a 16-point difference. Let's say it ends something like that and you pick up the paper and you read, it's going to be one of those games where the final score will in no way tell you how nervous things were for the Knicks a few minutes ago.
Biggest loss the Sonics have had this year was a 121-100 game at Golden State on January 14th. So they have had some down moments.
Greg Anthony trying to dribble out as much as he can.
Sonics come in tonight averaging 105 points a game. They're 15 points away from that now.
Chris King hits. 2.9 seconds to go, and that will do it here in Seattle. The most important Knick road win of the year. And it comes against the #1 team in the NBA. The New York Knicks are now 29-11. The Seattle Supersonics are 31-9. Only 2 game difference between these two teams. One more game on the trip. That's Portland tomorrow. But not enough can be said about what the Knicks did in the second half of tonight's game to completely take it over and claim it for their own. We will be back in Seattle for our post-game wrap-up. Stay with us. The final again. The Knicks 106. The Sonics 92. Game losses in Orlando and Philadelphia just a few days away are now ancient history. They've taken the first 2 games of this Western trip. Ricky Pierce and his mates just didn't have it tonight as the #1 team in the NBA. They shot just over 30% in the second half. The Knicks defense was suffocating. They shaved almost 15 points off the Seattle Supersonics per game average. This was a game in which the Sonics led at halftime by 7. But the Knicks, for the second game in a row, belly bumps galore. Player of the game, Anthony Mason. One of his best efforts of the season, maybe the best from an all-around contribution standpoint. 17 points for Mason. He missed only 1 shot. He was 6 of 7 from the floor. Perfect from the free throw line, and also grabbed 9 rebounds. Lots more to come post-game here in Seattle, where the Knicks have taken their 3rd straight and head to the locker room knowing that they can go for a sweep tomorrow in Portland.
It's about time and making the most of it.
NBA, they beat the #1 team 106-92. They owned the second half, largely due to the efforts of Anthony Mason. He was rebounding, he was scoring, he was defending. Watch what happens on this play. John Starks with the loose ball, and Anthony Mason will help him lead the break. A great assist is delivered softly off the glass. One more time, another look for Anthony Mason and his exploits tonight. He was sensational. 6 of 7 from the floor. He was doing it inside, outside, on the break as well. And he's with John Andres on the floor.
Thank you, Al. Anthony Mason, first of all, you're back, you're healthy over that rib injury, and what a ball game. Did you expect to play this much tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to thank God and my family for, sticking by me when I was down and had a lot of things on my mind. But as for your question, yeah, I expected to play a lot. I knew I felt better than I felt this whole season. It seemed like from one minute with injury to the next injury, and now I'm getting there and I'm almost 100% and I'm ready to play.
Anthony, when you say you were down, what do you refer to? Your health or how you've been playing?
Frustrated because I've never been hurt before that much in my life, and never missed games or none of that. And coming back early off of all my injuries, I wasn't playing like I can play, and I guess people probably second guessing me. But my family stuck by me, and I believed in God, and He helped me get back on track.
Well, you certainly did. You're talking with your play tonight, Anthony. What was the fear of the team playing the Sonics tonight, who come in with this gigantic reputation that they've earned so well? What was the hurdle that the Knicks had to get over to deal with them?
Well, it really wasn't much of a hurdle. It was a lot of talk from their side, how we was a benchmark and all of that, and we were just coming out to play. We on the road, and you got to play 10 times more physical and 10 times less emotional. And we just came to play basketball. We wasn't really wrapped up into that sneak preview of the World Championship and all that. We just ready to play basketball now.
There's a pattern that the team is playing much better in the second half now. The last 3 games were wins, but at the end of the first half in 3 games, the team's been behind. Has Pat Riley been giving out special messages at halftime to lift the team?
Well, not just special messages. I mean, we were running a pattern, like you said, of coming out flat in the second half. And second half is really where you win games most of the time. You know, you can be down 20 and win it in the second half. So, I mean, if we come out flat in the second half, either we're giving a lead away or we're never going to catch up. So that's the main focal point for us to play hard with super intensity and just keep moving the ball and playing hard and rebounding aggressive for the second half.
Was there a special effort by the Knicks tonight in delivering the ball quickly against this very tough defensive pressure that the Sonics put up?
Well, you have to move the ball. They're very aggressive, reaching in, trapping, you know, little sneak defenses. And if you're careless with the ball, they're off and running. And they really capitalized on turnovers. So we had to move the ball quickly. We couldn't try to out-dribble a trap or, you know, run around the trap. We had to move the ball quickly, find the open man, and we were lucky enough to do that tonight.
You enjoy coming back, handling that ball under the pressure, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I love to handle the ball, especially when teams pressing us and they run in traps. I love to handle the ball and dish off or either, you know, convert a basket. But like I said, I'm just, thank God, again, for getting me back on track where I can really help the Knicks.
Anthony, it was quite a statement by the team in the effort department as far as not depending so much on Patrick Ewing tonight. You have to give the team a lot of credit, I would think, for the balance that was offered by your teammates.
Yeah, you got to give the team a lot of credit, but you got to give Seattle a lot of credit too. They're experts at taking away a post game, and we had to step up and help out tonight. You know, when Patrick, you know, and I can't get it going, but when a team takes it away from Patrick, the rest of us got to step up and help, or we'll be lost in the water.
Well, the rest of the players certainly did step up, and Anthony, welcome back to your healthy status, and congratulations on a fine game and being the Knicks player of the game.
All right, thank you. Love you, Mom. Love you, Latifah.
Anthony Mason sending his good wishes home, and now let's get back to Al Troutwig.
All right, John, I think we covered everything there, and Anthony Mason will receive an American Express gift check. Think of it as a universal certificate that can be used to buy anything just about anywhere. Gift checks are available where American Express travelers checks are sold. And some of our guests also receive Bulova timepieces. Bulova, make every minute count with timeless elegance and precision design. The Marine Star collection from Bulova. Anthony Mason, one of 7 Knicks in double figures. 7 Knicks in double figures. They won tonight in Seattle.
It began as a friendly game. Then it took on a life of its own, changing the way.
To win their 3rd straight game. The Knicks winning today 106-92. We've already spoken to Anthony Mason. A little video salute now to the performance of Greg Anthony. In the second half, he was very impressive, hitting there from three-point land, his only three-pointer of the game. He finished with 14 points. Watch him here now using the Patrick Ewing screen to make something happen on the baseline. On the defensive switch over Sam Perkins. Another one. John, he was amazing.
Sam's only 6'10", no problem.
And there was more from Greg Anthony.
Nate McMillan, one of the better defenders in the NBA, offered no obstacle for Greg. Bigger people came over, and Greg kept going up and under to beat the bigger men.
It all brings us to the scoring summary brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. 7 Knicks were in double figures. Leading the way, Patrick Ewing, 21 points, 18 rebounds. We've talked about Anthony Mason. Rolando Blackman, another good game off the bench. He shot 6 of 7 for 14. John Starks, 14 points, 5 of 16. Greg Anthony, we talked about his numbers. Charles Oakley had the double-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds. And the other double-digit scorer was Charles Smith with 10 points, 4 of 7 from the floor. He had a good second half as well. As for the Seattle Supersonics, Gary Payton had 19 points. He had a very good game. Sam Perkins, 17 points, 7 of 15 from the floor, but Ewing out-rebounded him 18-1. Detlef Schrempf, 16 points. Ricky Pierce, 12. He had one flurry in the second half where he got very hot coming off the bench, but was not able to sustain it. Sean Kemp had 1 second-half point. The starter in the Western Conference All-Star picture finished with 11 as the Sonics shoot 44% and the Knicks shoot 56% tonight in Seattle. Greg Anthony, Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing, a lot of heroes for the men in blue tonight.
As a truck company,
They overcome a 12-point deficit in the second quarter and win going away 106-92. The Knicks, though, have lost 3 of 4 in Portland, and they'll be at the Coliseum up there in front of the usual 12,666. Our coverage begins with game night at 10 o'clock here on MSG. The game can be heard on radio on WEVD, and I guess that's the way it is in the NBA, John. As well as the Knicks played in the second half tonight, right about now they're thinking Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trailblazers.
Well, I'm not too sure about that, Al. Maybe on the plane up there a little bit later. But it was a 14-point win for the Knicks against Portland in New York a couple of weeks ago. They have a lot to be happy about, though. They put forth a great effort. They shot the ball so well. One of the things I was noting in the final stats were the Sonics shot over 50% in the first half. In the second half, they had to be in the mid-30s because they finished in the mid-40s. You know, they were actually they were in the mid-50s in the first half. So the defense of the Knicks was spectacular. At the same time, the Knicks' 51-point percentage shooting in the first half got better in the second half. So they just rose to the level of excellence, and they just had a great all-around game.
And the Knicks have showed some comeback ability lately, haven't they? And in the midst of the team turmoil controversy on Tuesday, they beat the Phoenix Suns coming back. They did it in Anaheim, and now they've done it 12 down in the second quarter when, really, I think I could have won a lot of money from John if I'd bet at that point, 12 down in the second quarter, that there would be the turnaround that there was. I could have won a lot, but I didn't. All right, we're continuing our post-game wrap-up where the Knicks have done it to the Seattle Supersonics. We'll get a quick word from Curtis Bunn, who's been talking to the Knicks in the locker room. We'll hear what they thought about it. Stay with us.
Here's Ewing. Tough shot. Yes! MSG salutes the one and only Marv Albert for yet another ACE Award for sports play-by-play excellence.
You've got to see it to believe it. The men's...
You haven't given us yet.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that Anthony Mason, he came out here to speak to you. He didn't want to speak to the writers. He said that he didn't have anything to say.
Really?
Yeah, he did. I think he's a little bit upset about maybe the way he's been portrayed in the papers, you know, doing his bad spell for him.
Okay, well, all right, that's interesting. Anthony was rather happy with himself. And he did say that he went through a tough time, and the people who surrounded him were part of helping get him through that. So that's a little interesting. Thanks, Curtis.
Sure, anytime.
All right, that's the recap from the Knicks locker room tonight. They'll be flying out of Seattle tonight and heading to Portland, Oregon. There'll be a lot of talk on that flight about the Knicks' 106-92 victory over the #1 team in the NBA. Tomorrow night, it's the Portland Trailblazers. Our coverage begins on MSG at 10 o'clock with Knicks game night. Game can be heard on WEVD because of the fans' Super Bowl coverage. Coming up next on MSG, Crosswalker. For all of us who bring you the Knicks on MSG, thanks for joining us and staying up late night. For John Andres and Curtis Bunn, Bobby Lewis, and Howie Singer, I'm Al Troutwig. Good night.
Since your face can't adjust.
When a player first comes to an NBA team, you look at his resume and his statistics. You learn a little bit about the player, but then you have a conversation in the hotel, maybe on an airplane somewhere, and you learn a little bit more. In Hubert Davis's case, we find that his life is one of triumph and, unfortunately, tragedy. And you might wonder exactly how he's gotten through it all. We're about to meet the man who is the reason why.